because when I came into the school, I realised this was a special school. We've got special teachers here, and very, very talented teachers. We have an amazing history as a state school here in the heart of Buckingham, and an incredibly supportive governing body and parental body. But most of all, we've got extraordinary students, and that's what makes, I think, the Latin so special. But I also know that the students in the school, from that day when I walked round, were unlucky. Whilst they themselves are supremely talented, the facilities and resources that they have maybe didn't match the high expectations that they had of themselves. So I knew that one thing that we needed to do here was to improve those facilities, and over the last 3 years I've just been hugely grateful to the support that I and my colleagues have had in developing the facilities in the school. So it's an opportunity for me just to say thank you to so many people. Parents, of course, alumni, local businesses and trusts have all been incredibly helpful, and thank you to all of them. I have an amazing campaign board. This is a group of volunteers, parents, alumni, local business people who have given their time just willingly and unstintingly, and it's made an amazing difference to me to have them. And then, of course, not forgetting my superb colleagues. Too many to mention individually, because I know I'll forget somebody, but they have been absolutely superb. I had this big idea, and actually it's my colleagues who put that into practice, so I am hugely grateful to everyone involved. The ambition was to create something that was maybe more than just a science block. We wanted to create something special for our young people, but actually not just our own young people here at the Latin. And it was always important for us to think that this building, this Discovery Centre, was going to be something that benefits, yes, our students, but yes, also the students of our neighbouring schools, and also the young and the old of our local community. So it is truly a building for Buckingham. It is the end of phase 1. I'm not sure whether everyone's quite ready for phase 2, but phase 2 is coming. And that's important for us, actually, that we continue this process now. With this Discovery Centre now open today, or soon will be, we'll then move on to look to develop our facilities in phases 2 and 3 for the sixth form, for sport and for arts. So I said I'm lucky, and actually I know I'm lucky to be head teacher of this school. And I'm particularly lucky to have had the unstinting support of our lead patron, and it gives me great pleasure, therefore, to introduce and to give my sincere thanks to John Burke.
David, Jo Valentine, who is skulking in the background, there she is, who deserves enormous thanks and congratulations on the milestone that we've reached today. Teachers at the school, parents of pupils at the school, critically pupils at the school itself, members of what I tend to call, I hope not in any sense pejoratively or disrespectfully, but in a spirit of levity, of the chain gang, that is to say, distinguished local councillors, and most importantly, our treasured and appreciated guest today, Professor Robert Winston. Thank you all for coming in a spirit of solidarity and, I think, also of fitting celebration. I'm delighted that David said what he did about the accomplishment and its significance for the Royal Latin School, of course, but also for schools beyond and the wider community, and in sync with that pithy and appropriate tribute and recognition that David offered. I'm thrilled to reference the fact that Angela Wells, head teacher of the Buckingham School, is also here. This facility can be and must become of benefit, not just to students of this school, but of neighbouring schools and of the community much more widely. It is virtually, ladies and gentlemen, to to the day, 3 years since the inception of the campaign to attract the requisite £5 million funding to translate the science and engineering facility sought from aspiration to fact. And that achievement and the journey required for it to be completed has entailed huge input by a diverse and eclectic band of people from within and beyond the parameters of the school, and to each and every person who contributed, either in terms of brain power, idea generation, time input, or resources, thank you so much for what you have done. It is often said that it's invidious to name names, but there is at least an equal risk of failing to say thank you. And my own long-standing view, which some of you have heard me express many times, is that we tend to say thank you too rarely. And it costs nothing to say thank you, and people do like to be appreciated. And I want to say thank you first to Julian Thomas, who is an ex-Latin, who's made a great commercial success of his business, Grace Logic, who lives with his wife Jade in the community, and who put his money where his mouth is by making the first substantial six-figure donation, which not only enriched us at the outset, but gave us a terrific buzz to go on to do all that we have since together done. So to Julian and to Jade, who may even have had a passing role in persuading him to park the necessary resources, thank you very much. Likewise, to all of those to all of those who contributed. By telegraph, the Garb family, a part of the warp and weft of Buckingham life. Again, they've got a successful local business, and they are co-financing one of the 12 laboratories. Thank you to them. To the Aranda Foundation, to the Wolfson Foundation, to the Bernard Sunley Foundation, to the Rothschild Foundation, to the Garfield Weston Foundation, and indeed to the Lillingston Trust. Thank you for your generosity of spirit, for your resources, and for your sense of empathy and solidarity with the school. You are making a transformative difference, and what you have done and are doing is enormously appreciated. We are here in a spirit of celebration, and I just want to underline my appreciation of the determination that has been required through thick and thin, including some disappointments along the way to get to where we are. You are now fortunate, as I should be, to hear and appreciate someone that I will, at the risk of embarrassing him, describe as a stellar scientific superstar. As you can tell, I enjoy alliteration. I'm a politician, nevertheless. And I'm thrilled beyond words to welcome Robert Winston, Professor Robert Winston, as he likes to be known, Lord Winston, as he also is. I didn't really expect, no disrespect to this great school, that Robert Winston would come. We talked about inviting him, and I duly fired off a letter, more in hope than expectation, simply because of the sheer range of commitments that he will have. And Robert Winston came back to the school pretty sharpish and said yes, and for that I think we are immensely grateful. Robert's late father, who I think passed away in his early youth, was regarded, probably by Robert himself as well, as a polymath. Well, I think Robert Winston is something of a polymath. He has achieved on so many different fronts in the course of his, so far, 50 years plus professional career. He is, of course, best known for those life-transforming, revolutionary changes that he brought about in the theory and practice of fertility treatment.
more widely in terms of his expertise in reproductive surgery, his knowledge of gynecology and obstetrics, and so many other scientific disciplines, Robert Winston is really very special indeed. On my reckoning, ladies and gentlemen, he currently holds 7 posts of various professional, academic, and charitable kinds. But that is not all. He has to his name no fewer than 11 awards and 16 honorary doctorates. He's published of the order of 19 books, and on top of that, he has published upwards of 300 peer-reviewed articles. Alongside his passion for what he often calls the cultural pursuit of science, he is serious about music, upon which he could dilate without hesitation, deviation, or inviting him to do so. And I hope you won't think it, that I am unduly lowering the tone in saying that as far as I am concerned, alongside all those magnificent accomplishments of Robert, the fact that he is, like me, a devoted Arsenal fan is a further testament to the quality of his character and the soundness of his judgment. In December of this year, he'll mark 20 years' service in the House of Lords. Robert sits as a Labour peer. Whatever you think, ladies and gentlemen, of the House of Lords, and opinions about its composition and makeup differ, I hope you'll be with me when I say this. The House of Lords does boast experts of world renown in a vast litany of different disciplines. When Robert speaks on his subjects in the House of Lords, with that repository of experience, expertise, and frankly, he won't say it, but I will, brilliance, he is heard with respect. Because unlike some of us, in my house, he does volunteer opinions with the advantage of some notable knowledge of the subject. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to Professor Robert.
Science experiments, because I believe absolutely that one of the key things which really turns young people onto science is getting their hands wet doing experiments. So this book was designed for sort of 8 to 11-year-olds. And a few weeks ago I was in the kitchen cooking, and my 6-year-old grandchild, who was staying with me at the time, was obviously rather impatient because I was over the frying pan. And he was trying to say things, and he calls me Boing. I don't quite know why. My grandpa Boing. So he said, Boing. He said, Boing, I'm bored. He said. So I said, well, why don't you just go next door? I'm sure there's some stuff you could do. He said, no. He said, can't we do an experiment together? So I said, well, we cook it. I'm cooking it now. He said, well, you've written a book on science experiments, haven't you? And I said, yes. He said, couldn't we do one of those experiments? So I said, yes, of course it's supposed to be quick. So we went next door and got the book off the shelf and opened it up and chose one of the more complex experiments which used kitchen ingredients. And I sort of rather annoyed, put down my pan and sort of started to get the stuff out of the kitchen cupboard, the acid and so on. And we did this experiment. It failed miserably. So I said, well, you know, let's do it. One of the things about science is that the thing is that experiments never work the first time, and very often you put big things in science to get it exactly right. So we did it again, and it was an absolutely duff result. He looked up at me with his little round glasses. He said, Boing, that book of yours is rubbish. all of you on this achievement. This is not just an ordinary science block. You know, I do go around a huge proportion of Britain's universities. I forget how many I've been to in the last year. I visit loads of schools, including so many science classrooms. There is no science laboratory complex that I've seen like this. I haven't seen science laboratories like this in many universities. This is a fantastic space. It's brilliantly designed. It's very sensitive. It feels immediately welcoming. And although it dominates this area, you feel that it's open to you. That is an extraordinary piece of design. And you walk in. I'm already planning an experiment on what to do in there. I have something in mind for Imperial, which I'd like to bring in, which I think would thrill people. I think it would work in the space upstairs. Anyway, it comes to me later on. It's an astonishing achievement, and you know it's incredibly good value for money. I mean, this is really good value for money. So you have to congratulate yourself. And as John just said, you know, one of the key issues is that you're not only just doing this for this wonderful school with all the science students are coming in, you are also bringing in a large number of people from primary schools and elsewhere to actually experience the hands-on science. And that's a very, very important contribution to the community. You people are our future. I mean, absolutely. If we don't get this right, then of course, you know, we're as nothing. And you are really what matters in our society. And one of the things that I think is really important is that we must ensure that we live in science literate societies. Increasingly that's necessary because science is becoming more and more dominant. I'm not desperately interested whether or not we create large numbers of more scientists. In fact, we do pretty well in Britain for scientists, but we could do with some more, of course we could. But the key thing is that we must all feel comfortable with science, understand it, because the science I do in my laboratory is not my science, it's your science. You pay for it. And when it's good, you might benefit from it. And when it actually has a downturn, which all science will have, there are always the threats involved in technology and science. And take transport. You know, we think one of the most threatening things in our society we never think about is the aircraft. We don't think about that at all. I don't mean bombing runs over Syria. I don't mean aircraft crashes. I mean that suddenly, as never before, not since 1347, are we suddenly exposed to pathogens over which our defense system, our immune system, has no possible safety. The plague was spread by ships, the latest technology in the 14th century. Now, of course, why we were so scared Ebola virus, for example, was thought that it might be transmitted in airdrops, in which case aircraft would have been a massive disaster. As it turns out, of course, we are able to deal with that because it's not illegal. But again and again, these unexpected, unpredicted, but incredibly important things for our society are needed so that we all need to be able to control them and in a democracy make sure that we all have a say in how we do that. We can't do that without the knowledge. I'm delighted to be here. It's a privilege to be here. Thank you very much indeed for inviting me. I must say, I'm really glad I've come, and I look forward to talking more with you. So many thanks.
Professor Winston, and we have a two-way opening going on here. So we'll first of all unveil the opening plaque, and then cut the ribbon. After which you're more than welcome to come and join us and have a look at our lovely building. So Professor Winston and John, maybe if we could open the plaque first of all.
You need to wait. Caught it on the iPod.
Here to see the building for himself was one of the UK's top scientists, Professor Lord Robert Winston, along with the Speaker of the House of Commons, unveiled a plaque to officially open the centre.
actually where people use it. Mixture of both. Parts is a good one. It's good to like just get familiar with it.
I'm sure that's scary.
Not necessarily. I'd say it's about even, because there is a lot to the eye. But the eye is more like nervous system. It's like on the eye there's all the retina. Which
You got me pregnant!
I'm trying to control that temperature.
Turn it down.
So what are you expecting to happen?
So we're expecting purified water to come into here with a thin layer of lemon.
Smell eliminating that, and it makes bubbles as well. Eliminating hopefully.
Science, even if you don't do it at university, is still important as a cultural pursuit. It's part of our heritage, and it's becoming increasingly important because we have to decide how we use the science wisely. Now, that's why a school like this is so important. And what's really impressive to me is that they're bringing in schools from outside to work in these laboratories, primary school children, for example, where, of course, very often they don't have that kind of access. And I think that's tremendously commendable.
I think more people will be encouraged to take up science, not just as a subject at school, but thereafter, and to contemplate and pursue careers in science.
All over the place. That's what gases do. They're moving everywhere around this room all the time, which is good news. If you all started to breathe in now, breathe in. We're all taking in oxygen, okay? If we breathe in again, we take in some more oxygen. If we breathe in again, we take in some more oxygen. If we breathe in again, we take some more oxygen. Breathe out again if you want. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, out. Why have we not used all the oxygen in this room now? So we're all not just going.
With more space for experiments and better facilities, nearly 1,300 students are taking full advantage of their new £5 million building. It looks like one of Britain's oldest schools could now rival others when it comes to preparing our next generation of scientists.